This is But the Years Are Short, the podcast where mamas who are therapists share real advice for real families. I'm Meagan.
And I'm Katie, and we want to be your front porch community where you can laugh and learn with us about the beautiful, messy, overwhelming, hilarious work of raising kids.
Because the days are long,
but the years are short.
Welcome back to But the Years Are Short.
Yeah, today we're talking about the new year since it is now 2026.
What?
I know, it'd be crazy. And so today we are specifically talking about the pressure that shows up around January to fix things, start strong, or like somehow reinvent ourselves like overnight into this whole new human.
Yeah, especially as parents, I think that pressure can feel really heavy. And there's this idea that the new year means more energy, better habits, and a total fresh start when actually there's nothing about our real lives that actually resets.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. So, today, Megan, I wanted us to really talk about taking a gentler approach. So, like, instead of these big, giant resolutions, we are shifting to talking about intention. So, like, smaller, meaningful shifts that fit our actual family life, our bandwidth, and our real seasons that we're in.
Yeah, our hope is that this conversation helps you enter this year feeling grounded, connected, and a little more compassionate with yourself.
Yeah. So, okay. So, post holiday, how exhausted do you feel? Or do you feel kind of rested and rejuvenated? Like real answer. I'm asking you, Megan.
Yeah, real answer. I do feel pretty rested and rejuvenated this year. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my real answer, which I don't think is every year.
Yeah.
This year we were intentionally super slow and we didn't put a lot of things on our calendar. And so we had a lot of space. So this specific year, I
Mm-hmm.
do feel very rested and I'm ready to like jump into the new thing because
Yeah.
my kids are already bored. They're ready for school to start. So I think this year I do. What about you for your typical year?
So this is funny. So this year I didn't have my kiddos for Christmas, and so when that happens, I go and visit my one of my very best girlfriends in Virginia, and so I have a tier of best friends, right? And so you're obviously on the tier. But so I go and see my friend in Virginia, and she has this like sprawling like farm situation. It like works for me as kind of like a restful haven, right? And so we like bake bread and we garden and we drink wine and we goof off and we laugh a ton and we like cry about the shit that happened this year that was like too hard or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so that's all very restful. And then here's what happened. So I knew that I was coming back on Saturday, right? So Friday, like night, I started to feel sad and like panicky a little bit. And then Saturday morning, I started to feel really tense. And Saturday, okay, so she wasn't going to be able to take me to the airport. And then I had to figure out, like, I had to get an Uber, right, to the
Yes.
airport, which is like, I do life all day, every day on my own. I'm single. I have 2 kids. I have a big, giant career, like all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is not normally a big deal. Like things like this are not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this. This is too much. And so at some point, like the Uber guy, like got lost trying to get to the house
Adds to
because
the
it's
anxiety,
like,
right?
yeah, right. Like
Mm-hmm.
he like needed help getting to the house. And I was like, I can't, I just can't, I can't. Laura was like, I will handle it. It's fine. And so I, it's like this like brain exhaustion comes like flooding back, right?
Yeah.
So, I was thinking this like, even though you can be rested and kind of in this better space, when we think about where we are in real life, um, this idea of like January is the time to, we have this like pressure to reset, have a clean slate. Like when
Mhm.
you get back into your real life, it's still your real life. Like you still have your routines, you still have your kids, you still have your job stress. Like it's all the same,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
know there's, like, this idea that a magic wand comes out, right? And that we get to, like, start everything anew, right? And it's all gonna happen when the clock strikes midnight, right? We're gonna wake up with
Yeah.
our magic wand changing the world. And
Yeah,
I do think that
exactly.
that can feel like a ton of pressure.
It is, right? It
Yeah.
is. So I think like this whole concept of like January has the start strong energy and it just doesn't account for parenting, you know?
Yes.
Um
Because our kids
so
definitely do not get that memo.
yeah, this is true. They do not. They
They're
do
not
not.
ready to change their world
Exactly.
on January 1st.
I mean, like it would be one thing if you had okay, so if we think about like we go into the new year, right? And the concept of like let's have all these resolutions, right? So if we think about like common resolutions, they are what? Like
Fitness.
yeah, lots about fitness.
Yeah.
Lots about fitness. We hear people like I'm going to work out for 30 minutes 5 times a week,
Yeah.
right?
I'm gonna stop doing things.
Yeah, like drinking. I'm going to stop
Yeah.
drinking.
Smoking.
Yep.
Our
Mhm.
vices. Eating junk
Yes.
food. That's
Eating junk
mine.
food.
Yeah.
Yep, no sugar.
No sugar. Come
Yep,
off the holidays with
exactly.
crazy food. Yeah.
Mhm. Exactly. So,
Mhm.
this, like, myth of we have a clean slate, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, like, our kids, our routines, the stress of life doesn't stop,
Mm-mm.
right? So, like, it'd be
Yep.
one thing if we could completely rework our schedule, we could wipe all the stress out, but it doesn't go away, like, we get a pause maybe for a week or
Maybe.
2,
Yeah.
and
Well, and I don't
then
even that's a real pause for most of us, for a lot of us. We're running
yeah,
around. I feel like
it's
a
true.
lot. Yeah.
It's true. So, to have these resolutions, right? These like hard and fast resolutions to account for a new gym routine, to account for new meal prepping routine that's really intense, to account for new journaling routine, if they're like really intense, serious resolutions and goals, it you have to rework a ton of stuff. Um yeah, and I think like, some other reasons that January feels overwhelming, right? So if you are working, lots of places are starting a new quarter of a
Yeah.
new year.
For a lot of places.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Like new goals for your career, maybe, for your family, for yourself. So I think the thing that I want to like kind of float is what if the new year isn't about becoming somebody brand new, but about staying connected to who you already are and like kind of scaling back the things that are feeling like too much. So it's kind of
Okay.
yeah, so it's kind of like a different way of looking at it. So we're proposing a shift from setting a 2026 resolution to a 2026 intention. So I looked, Megan,
Yeah.
I did some research about why resolutions fizzle by February.
Oh, okay. Of
Are you
course there's
ready for
research
this?
about that. Yeah,
I
I'm
know.
ready.
I'm the data person.
I
Okay.
love it.
Okay. So here is what came up. Why resolutions usually fall apart by February are unrealistic goals. So goals that aren't in tune with our actual lives, motivation that goes away, right?
Yeah.
All or nothing mindset. So
Yes.
so Megan, I'm going to ask you, can you explain what this means?
Yeah, so we think of like black or white thinking, which means it's
Hmm.
like all in or all out, right? So if it's my goal, say my resolution is to work out 5 days a week for 30 minutes, and it's Friday and Saturday's been the last day and I've only worked out three. Well, then I'm like, screw it, I don't need to do it anymore. Like I can't make my five, so I'm out. Right. So it's like it's got to be everything or nothing. So we call yeah.
Hmm. Yep,
Mhm.
love it. Exactly. Okay. All right, instant gratification trap. Okay, so
That's my bad one.
Okay, do it. Do it. Explain
I
it.
love
What do you
instant gratification. It
Uh-huh.
just means, like, a lot of our goals, and I think a lot of resolutions are actually more long term, right? And so we build them out. So it's like, I want to be able to speak Spanish by the end of the year, right? Well,
Mhm.
if I don't feel like I am making progress and I'm not getting the gratification of being able to mark those goals, then I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. This isn't going anywhere.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think about that with like working out, right?
Yeah.
So, or people who, and this, I mean, I think everybody's done this, one time or another where it's like, I want to lose 30 pounds or 25 pounds or
Yeah.
whatever. And then by the end of the third week, you haven't seen any shift on the scale. Then it's like, well, forget this.
I'm out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like it's not working. And it is really frustrating. So, okay, so that's instant gratification. All right, goals that don't align with your traditions or values.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's play this one out. So this is so for example, let's say that your goal is to, I don't want to harp on exercising too much, but let's say that you have that, like, I'm going to work out 5 times a week. But you also have a life that's really full already of, like, you have a routine in the morning when you get up and you have coffee slowly, you really enjoy that. And then you have the routine of like getting your kids to school and you connect with them during that time. You really like that. And you get home and you cook at night, you have places to get them, and like your life is really full.
Yeah.
So, if what you believe about working out means getting to the gym and being on this machine for this long and then lifting weights for this long, and that doesn't align with your values of being connected at home, um, having a slow wake up in the morning, right? If your goals don't align with what you already have going on in your life, it's going to be really, really hard to maintain that resolution.
Yeah. I can see that. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Lack of self-compassion. And then we have, so our last two for why resolutions fizzle. Okay. Lack of self-compassion. So, Megan, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so it's if I have a goal or resolution, but I make a mistake instead of being able to give myself that grace, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this was just a hard week. I had a sick kid and work was crazy," to
Hmm.
whatever my resolution was, right? If I'm unable to give
Hmm.
myself that compassion of like, "Okay, we're gonna try again next time," um, it's going to fail, right? Because it's gonna be all one way or the other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then lack of accountability. So, accountability being having somebody that you're talking to about how it's going, checking in with people, having people to support you. Okay, so if we separate resolutions from intentions, resolutions have tend to have high intensity. Like immediately,
Yes.
this is a thing we are starting, we are committing 100% to it. It's outcome based and it tends to be all
Mhm.
or nothing. Where intentions are more values based, um, based in alignment with who I am and who I want to be, and they're more flexible. So, where like a resolution says, I'm going to fix myself, it's behaviorally based, and intention is about like I'm paying attention to like what I'm thinking and how I'm functioning,
Yeah.
and is it in line with who I want to be?
Yeah, I'm thinking intentions can be harder to create, I think, right? So I think that's why we
Yeah.
lean into resolutions more, right? Because resolutions are really behavior based, right? Like I can
Yeah.
track if I'm going to the gym 5 times a week, right? It's a
Yeah.
little bit more challenging for me to create an intention around that. Because it takes a lot of space and reflection, I think.
Okay, so, and I think this feels a little bit ambiguous, right? This moment because we haven't given
Yeah.
examples for intentions, but we're gonna get there. So, I think a thing that I want to be really thoughtful about, is where you are in life. So, like what your bandwidth has, right? How much bandwidth you have. Not functioning within the fantasy of what you want your life to be. I think if the season of your life is that you have very young children, now may not be the time to set aside an hour a day to train for a marathon. If you are also working and caring for a parent. And if you don't have the bandwidth right now for whatever reason, like if you are caring for all of these people and that feels really important to you, then jamming in a resolution on top of that likely is not infusing self-compassion. I think if we're not realistic about the season of life that we're in, we're really kind of setting ourselves up for failure.
That's kind of why our goal is to pivot to intentions, right?
Mhm.
Because resolutions are just so outcome based.
Yeah.
And I think often really singularly outcome based, right? So if like my resolution is based on one behavior, then it's all focused on that piece. When what like let's just dive into intentions a little bit more and like how do we
Yeah.
define those? What does that look like? So I think that'd be really helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were to set an intention for the year, right? So you
Hmm.
can do this as a individually for yourself. Or you can do this as a family, right? And so we can talk about ways to do that as a family in a little bit. But I think if you're setting an intention for yourself as just a a grown up, right? Like just as a human being, just for yourself. We've put together a list of intention words for you, okay?
Hmm.
And a worksheet for you to kind of go through the process of figuring out what makes the most sense for you this year. And so here's some examples. So if where you want to kind of live in this coming year is to be focused on, there's different categories. So under the category of like being connected, and like focusing in relationships, we have a handful of words. So, for example, we have like belonging. If you could set an intention of belonging, you could set an intention of gentle or present or together. If what you wanted to focus on this year is like self compassion, then you could set an intention of kindness or rest, mercy. Right. If you wanted to be more
Hmm.
playful this year, your intention could be joy or laughter or wonder. If you wanted to focus on growth, it could be learning or becoming or curious. So we have this like whole list of words that you could kind of go through and figure out what makes the most sense for you or fits well this year. Um, and so rather than so for example, let's let's kind of pull these apart. So rather
Hmm.
than I'm going to learn Spanish by December 31st, 2026. Right?
Yeah.
Um, if your intention was instead something like practice or
Mm.
learning, or adaptable or curiosity, then that fits into all of these places. And then if you hit a week of the year where someone gets really sick and you don't have the capacity that week to be in your Duolingo or go to your Spanish class, or you have to
Hmm.
move your Spanish tutor, then it doesn't feel like you have failed. Think about all of this.
I agree. And I think like the idea of intentions is like how do we set our mindset? Because I think all the reality is we like research, right? But the research shows that like in order to shift behaviors, we have to change how we think about them. And so like I think that what we're saying here is like, okay, how do we get to the core of these pieces? Because not only will it help us shift some of these behaviors maybe that we want to do differently, right? But it will help us with better understanding them and helping it fit into who we want to be in our lifestyle more versus making the behavior fit our lifestyle or making our lifestyle kind of fit into it. And so I think that is really the core of what we're looking here. Um, and how do we model that and how do we explain that and how do we live into that? I think it gives us a lot of options.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So, if we think about what it teaches our kids, right? So, if we connect this
Yeah.
to what it teaches our kids, or let me ask you what you think about this. Do you feel like our kids benefit from seeing us be excellent at something more, or Do you feel like they benefit from seeing us reflect on what we're doing, assess, and then, like, adjust?
Yeah, I think our kids benefit from us. I think it's funny that we're using the word intention here because the word intentional is like my parenting word. And so I think our kids
Mm,
benefit from us being intentional, right? And so I think
mhm.
if being intentional means pausing, reflecting, being able to make those shifts in what I'm choosing to do and how I'm educating my kids about what I'm doing, right? I think that is going to benefit our kids. And I think the other piece is, I'm gonna be super honest, Katie. My idea of excellence is very different. So, like to me, I think our kids do benefit from seeing us do things excellently, but I don't think that means like getting a gold star or being the CEO of the company or having the most trophies, right? Like I think that for me being excellence is choosing to be intentional, is choosing to be human, is choosing to show the growth and the failures and the peace because I think that if it, again to me like if we're saying excellence is the image, that's all behavioral, right? That's all like a show that we're putting up. For me, excellence is very intentional and is very transparent and is full of failures.
Okay, so let me I think I need to reword because for you I think what I was trying to ask and maybe worded poorly
Mhm.
is perhaps perfection versus
Yeah. Okay.
intention, right?
Yes. Totally then. I'm all for
Because
perfect I mean, for intention.
because I think
I don't think
perfection is about look at me um do this without failure,
yeah.
right?
Yes, and
Where
I don't think that exists.
yeah, and it come what comes with it is so much pressure.
Yes.
Um and I think what we're doing, I think what we're advocating for is um self-compassion and doing that in a way that is obvious to our children
Yeah.
because it teaches them how to be compassionate to themselves, which insulates them long term against, frankly, mental health concerns, right?
Yeah. And
So
they're more compassionate with others if they can be compassionate with themselves.
it's
You
so
give what you
true.
got.
It's so, so true. Exactly. So, it helps kids see what works and what doesn't and how to shift, which is such a life skill. It's such a life skill.
Yeah.
Teaches them how to be flexible. So, okay, so it can be really, really, really important to reflect before you reset. What worked last year? What do you want to keep? Right? Like what kept your life really functional? Or at least survivable.
Yeah.
If last year was hard, right? It's like predictable routines. Was that helpful? Did you decrease your commitments? Did you lower expectations for yourself and your kids, right? Were you more patient? Did you say no to things?
Yes.
Did you consistently connect about things? Let's see. Did you spend time outside that y'all loved? And then what drained you? So, Megan, do you have some examples of those?
Yeah, I think, it so we do family meetings, and so our family meeting is actually tonight where we're gonna do this kind of reflection, right, piece, and I think that
Mm.
recognizing what are the things that your kids come up with are often not the things you think of, right? But I think
Ooh,
for
love it.
me, the things that I often say drain me are, like, everyone having 100 activities, right?
Yeah.
Us overcommitting to things, right? But then, honestly, in the past, like, the things that I say drain me are the things that my kids love the most, right? So being able
Uh,
they'll say, "This piece and this piece and this piece," and I think to me, when we're being intentional about having these conversations, it can be really helpful. It doesn't mean just because they love it, we're gonna always do it, and it doesn't mean because it drives me crazy, we have to cut it off. I think, but having our kids getting to hear both of those pieces is really, really helpful, and being intentional about, like, how do we reset to honor our family, and that these conversations can be really helpful.
yeah, for the whole family. So Megan just like you just kind of hinted at something that I think is really important, right? So um doing kind of a family activity around this, right?
Mhm.
Talking to your kids about setting an intention for this year, right? And kind of going through this activity together where it's like, what do we want more of this year? What was hard last year? Um,
Yeah.
what drained us? What do we want more of? And then to kind of make it light and fun, maybe pick an intention word for this year, and then maybe like draw it out, write on it. You can even like decorate it and put it up somewhere, like on the fridge or in the
Mhm.
hallway or something like that, where everybody can see it. Um, Not as a like rule or a thing to say punitively, right? Like you're not being very joyful. Right? But just as a reminder, right? Like this is a thing we're doing today because this year we're trying to be more intentional about having joy in our lives.
Yeah. I've never done the family word. We do family meetings at the end of the year and reflect on like what do we like? We do our high lows and surprises. But I love the idea of having a family word because I think that
Mhm.
totally kind of anchors everyone. And it'd be interesting to see what each kid comes up with as like the one they want, I think would be fun.
Yeah, I think it would be too.
I think
It's
it's
cool.
cool. Mhm.
We should. Okay, so here's what I want to do.
All right.
How about we both do it and then we'll
Okay.
report back.
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. I'm into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so kind of our closing thoughts. A good year is not about dramatic change. It's
Mm-mm.
about our values showing up in small, ordinary moments. And self compassion is what makes our change sustainable. So don't forget that we created a worksheet for you to help you build out your 2026 intentions. Check out the show notes for the link, and it'll give you access to a short worksheet that will walk you through the process of assessing what worked for you and your family last year, what you want to keep, and where you want to set your intentions for this year. If there's one thing we hope you take from this conversation, it's that you don't need to reinvent yourself to have a meaningful year.
Yeah, a good year can look steady, can look imperfect, can look like choosing what matters again and again in small ways.
If your intentions help you feel more connected to yourself, to your kids, and your values, that is enough.
So here's to 2026. We're wishing you an ease into the new year with warm hugs, slow mornings, and thoughtful memories. Our music is by Stephen Bedall. If you're loving these conversations, we'd be so grateful if you followed the podcast, left a review, or shared this episode with a friend. That's how we grow this little front porch community. And remember, the days are long,
But the years are short. While we often talk about mental health, this should not be used as a substitute for mental health treatment. If you or your child are struggling, please reach out to a local provider.